Welcome to class tonight. I do hope that you are doing well. Tonight we're going to be combining two distinct ideas, two things that you have already learned. Now we've already worked with function tables or formulas. We've already worked with those. And we've already worked with graphing on the coordinate planes that we worked on yesterday. Well, today we're going to be combining these two ideas. We're going to be combining function table with a coordinate plane. Now, I'm going to start off to basically just explain what we're going to be doing. I'll start with function tables, review on that. Then we'll move to graphing and work on combining to those two. So that's how the lesson is going to progress today. All right, so on the board you actually see several examples of function tables. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So first of all, I have the formula. Okay, how I find it. So in other words, this says the output is equal to the input times 4. So what you're going to be doing is input times 4 equals 12. So that's the output. Same thing, -7 times 4 equals 28. And then finally 5 times 4 equals 20. So you see my input, I have a list here. My output is going to be that's going to equal my input times 4. Now I want to be very clear. Right now I'm actually giving you the input in a little bit. In fact, in just a couple minutes, I'm actually going to be having you guys give me the input. The input can be any number you want. You can put 8 million for the input and get an output. Okay, so you can do any number you want. Now I'm going to give you some specific numbers, so just to kind of start off and make sure we understand this. But I want to make sure that's very clear. You can use any number you want, really. All right, let's go ahead and practice then. So let's work on this next one. This next one says the output. This is the function table right here. So first one, my formula. The output equals your input times a -2. Input times -2. So what I'm going to be doing is my input is -1. -1 times -2 is going to be 2, positive 2. Now you remember back to integers, multiplying and dividing integers. Two negatives equal a positive. So my input is -1, my output is going to be 2. Next one, 1 times a -2. That's my input right there. I'm going to multiply times -2 and then get my output. So 1 times -2 is going to be -2. And then finally 3 here. 3 times -2 is going to be -6. So there you go. I have my function table right there. I simply followed my function and got my table. Last function table right there. Last one. So my input, so the formula is output equals input divided by 4. So we're going to take our inputs right there. We're going to take our inputs and we're going to divide them all by 4. So 16 divided by 4 is going to be 4. -24 divided by 4 is going to be -8. And then 36 is going to be 9. Oh, I'm sorry, not -8. -6. There we go. And this one is going to be 9. So you see there how I simply used the formula right there, put the input in, worked my magic, and got the output. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is function tables. Alright, now let's take our function into the next level. Now we're going to be practicing graphing these values and putting them on a coordinate plane. Now the cool thing is, now you see I've actually changed something. My formula now looks like y equals x plus 3. Now I purposely put this right here, okay, the input equals output. Okay, I purposely put that so you can get familiar with this new formula. It's basically the same thing. Y is going to be my output, and then x is going to be my input. So that's not really changing anything other than instead of saying input and output, I'm saying x for input and y for output. Now, the other interesting thing with this lesson is that you'll notice the values correspond to the different axes. So this is the x-axis, and that's the y-axis. That is on purpose, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be using this formula right there. We're going to be putting x values in, getting y values out, and then, ladies and gentlemen, we have our coordinate pair. Okay? So, let me give an example. Negative 3 is my x value, so if I put a negative 3 in there, negative 3 plus 3 is going to be 0. Okay? So I'm going to use that as my coordinate plane. Negative 3 and 0. So I'm going to go negative 3 on this, so 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go 0. So that is my first point. Next point. Negative 2, put a negative 2 in the formula. Negative 2 plus 3, the answer is going to be 1. So I'm going to use that as my, once again, use that as my ordered pair. So I'm going to go negative 2, so 1, 2, and then up 1, right there. And see, now I have 2 points. Let's do a third one. Negative 1, 2. Alright, so once again, my negative 1, I'm going to go negative 1 right there, and then up 2, 1, 2, right there. Now you should be noticing something. I'm actually going to be forming a straight line. Watch this. Now I'm going to go ahead and put in, now let me solve the rest of this function table right here. You see I left these blanks on purpose. So, 0 plus 3 is going to be 3. 1 plus 3 is going to be 4. So all I'm going to do is going to put those values in. So once again, 0 is my x value, 3 is my y value. So 0, up 3, oh, right there, and then 1, 4, 1, and then 4. And now the interesting thing is, ladies and gentlemen, I'll use this on purpose, I can now draw a straight line connecting all those points. And that is the key, ladies and gentlemen. You want to be able to, when you connect all those points, you should be able to get a straight line. If you're not getting a straight line, something is not quite right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that right there, that's an example of a function. Okay, we call this a function. Okay, this whole thing is a function table, and I use my function table to graph my points on a coordinate line, or on a coordinate plane. And I do want to point out, this probably seems a little complex right now, but the nice thing is, all you have to remember, input, output, and graph. It really is that simple. Let's go and do one more very quickly, so we can kind of basically start from scratch. So right here, I've given you a function, okay? That's the function. So y equals x minus 2. Now remember, we determine our input. We determine the x value. So we decide whatever x value we want, we put it in there. Now, here's a hint. You always want to put x values that are already in your graph. Okay, they're already in your graph. So for example, I wouldn't want to put 10 as my x value because I don't have 10 on my coordinate plane. Okay, I don't. I go up to 4 on mine. So I'm going to keep it at small numbers. So let's go ahead and do some small numbers then. Let's go ahead and do, and once again, I'm simply just kind of throwing out numbers. So let's do, how about we do, let's go ahead and do negative 2. It's going to be good. How about, let's do a 0. Throw a 0 in there. A 1, a 2, and then how about a negative 1, okay? So you'll notice I didn't go in order this time. I kind of skipped around. And that is okay. The x value, you determine the x value. The x value can be any number you want. I just made sure they were going to stay within my coordinate plane here. So let's go ahead and work this out then. So negative 2, put it in my formula right there. Negative 2 minus 2 is going to be, so y is going to equal negative 4. 0, put 0 minus 2, I'm going to get negative 2. Put 1 in there. 1 minus 2 is going to be negative 1. Put a 2 in there, I'm going to get a 0. 2 minus 2 is 0, obviously. And then negative 1, so negative 1 minus 2 is going to be negative 3. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I found my values. Now I'm going to simply put my values, my coordinate pairs, into my coordinate plane. So my first one, my x value is negative 2, so go over negative 2. And then down negative 4, right there. Next one, 0, negative 2. So 0, and then negative 2, right there. I'm going to erase those stray marks so you don't get confused. Next one, 1, negative 1, so over 1, and, oh, there you go, right there. 2, 0, so move over 2. That's that point right there, and then negative 1 through negative 3. So negative 1, negative 3 right there. Oh, look at that, ladies and gentlemen. I can now make a nice straight line through all the points in my graph. Now, the other interesting thing is, you can actually tell, I can automatically tell if my x value were going to be 4, if my x value were going to be 3, my y value would be positive 1. If my x value was going to be 4, my y value would be 2. And so you can actually see, I can actually make a nice line all the way through my coordinate plane. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the point. That is the point right there. Taking a function, the y equals x whatever, making it into a function table, and then taking those coordinates and putting them into a coordinate plane. That's the lesson. You must remember to put the x and y values into that coordinate plane. That's going to be the most helpful thing to do. All right, your homework is page 530, 1 through 10 even. Once again, page 530, 1 through 10 even. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. You can either email me tonight or talk to me tomorrow. That would be whatever would be most helpful. I do want to make sure you guys understand this concept, because this is a big deal. This prepares you for many, many things later in life. So have a great night, and we'll see you all tomorrow.